We have Angelina Cook from Siskiyou County with Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center, who's going to share with us her findings from her planning year and how they intend to bring resilience to Siskiyou County and benefit their downstream communities. So, Angelina, we talked already about your audience as the Rotary Club. We've got a couple of questioners lined up, so happy to have you with us today.
Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Renew Siskiyou. I'm going to share with you a little bit about who we are and what we've been up to and opportunities for participating. And so my name is Angelina Cook. I am working with the Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center. And over the past year, we have been working on a climate adaptation plan for the region. We're calling it Renew Siskiyou, and it's an opportunity to rebalance our environmental health for economic wealth in the region. I'm just trying to advance. Okay, so an overview of today's presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about the region, acknowledge the issue that we're attempting to address, the team and our process so far, discuss a little bit about the challenges and opportunities, and then talk about our process moving forward and finish off with opportunities for engagement. So, as you all know, we're located here in Siskiyou County at the top of California. We're blessed to live in a region abundant in natural assets, specifically our cold, clean waters and our regal forest. And as we all know, these assets are crucial for economic vitality locally and downstream. We have observed climate is changing in our region, and it appears to be on course to continue. So for us, this demonstrates our interconnectivity and challenging us to rethink the way we do business in our region. And in order to adequately acknowledge these challenges, we need broad cooperation in order to change the direction of some of the trends that we've been witnessing in the area in the past decade specifically, and even further than that. So, a brief discussion about climate change. Climate is changing due to an increased use of fossil fuels and land use in our area that equates to deforestation, and these activities have resulted in a buildup of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that are resulting in a gradual rising of the average temperatures and, more importantly, shifting weather patterns. And we recognize that this is a controversial issue that has historically been polarizing in this area, and we would like to acknowledge the importance for a diversity of perspectives in adequately addressing the challenges that impact everyone. And so if you don't like to see it through the lens of climate change, that is perfectly fine, and we are more than willing to focus on the resource impacts that we're experiencing here. While we can argue on climate change, it is difficult to deny that drought and catastrophic wildfires have been occurring with increased frequency and intensity in this area. And these are issues that are calling all stakeholders to get involved and work together and see what we can do to safeguard our communities now and in the future. And if you'll notice, drought I've indicated by a decrease in precipitation and rising demands, and the catastrophic fires have been happening due to an increase of temperatures, a decrease of precipitation, in combination with resource management strategies that we've been doing over the past century. which are specifically the fire suppression and higher fuel loads in the forests. And can anyone guess why I've indicated the demands in fire suppression and fuel loads in yellow? And if not, since we don't really have time right now, I'm just indicating those in yellow because these are human practices that we do have control of, whereas some of the precipitation and temperatures are more climate indicators that we have little influence over. So in climate adaptation, we are primarily focusing on a need to adapt to irreversible impacts that are occurring in current generations. And by working together, we can preserve the quality of life in our region and hopefully correct course to avoid ecosystem collapse. So over the past year, Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center has been participating with the Model Forest Policy Program. They're a national organization who developed a program called the Climate Solutions University, and they facilitate communities in adapting to climate change in ways that are appropriate for the unique circumstances of each region. Since 2010, they have facilitated 29 adaptation plans, which have been locally driven planning processes that result in the implementation of goals and strategies that are determined through that planning process, primarily intended to avoid the worst climate risks and impacts. And the overarching premise for the Climate Solutions University is an acknowledgement that healthy forested watersheds are crucial for economies and safeguarding communities locally and downstream. So this is a picture of some of our crew. Our crew has been myself and Ross Heineman, Courtney Laverty, Jennifer Witherspoon, who actually took these pictures, and then we've been blessed by an editor in the later stages of our planning process, Phoenix Lahan, and we're very grateful for everybody's participation. And along the way, we also have received input and feedback from advisory plan members, including Todd Hamilton from the Shasta Trinity Forest Service, Phil Dietrich, retired Fish and Wildlife from River Exchange, Tracy Hemeter, who is our downstream partner. She works for the Santa Clara Valley Water District, Jim Powell, who's retired Forest Service Timber Sales, and I would also like to extend my gratitude to Rick Costalis, the Natural Resource Policy Specialist, who works for the Siskiyou County, who has provided invaluable feedback in our planning process. So what's at risk? As I indicated earlier, primarily our water quantity seems to be in a pattern of reduced precipitation, and reduced quantity equates to reduced quality and more variable timing. And as most of you know, we're located at the headwaters of the Sacramento River. We also provide spring-fed waters to the Klamath River. And the upper Sacramento drainage contributes to the Shasta Reservoir, which is the largest reservoir in the state of California, the second largest reservoir in the United States. Shasta Reservoir contributes 17% of California's water, which is pretty significant when you consider that we are the largest state in the nation, as well as the most economically productive state in the nation, and 35 to 50% of that water in Shasta Reservoir comes directly from rivers located in Siskiyou County. The rest come from adjacent, the Pitt River and adjacent Shasta County. So Scripps Institute has recently released a study that indicates with every 1 degree Celsius rise in average temperature as snowpack is estimated to decrease by 23%. And this will create a situation of lower flows in stream as well as higher temperatures in stream. And our cold water, spring-fed rivers are absolutely crucial for our fisheries. And while the watersheds directly beneath Mount Shasta are spring-fed and a little bit more resilient, other drainages in Siskiyou County, such as the Scott River watershed, rely on snowpack. So these are also productive salmon fisheries and relying almost exclusively on snowpack. So these drainages are particularly vulnerable in the face of climate change. And so the snow, rivers, and lakes, the fresh water of our region is obviously essential for our forest vigor, our fisheries, our agriculture, our hydropower, and as well as supporting our growing tourism and recreation industry. And I'm going to reiterate, locally as well as downstream, these assets are crucial in Siskiyou County, but they are relied upon by untold number of stakeholders downstream. So this is a picture of Mount Shasta in the winter of 2013 with exactly 10 inches of water that had fallen. Normal is 43 inches, which in 2013 that registered at a 23% of normal snowpack, which classifies as a desert biome, which I found that interesting, that figure lined up with the recent research at Scripps. So our water resources are in jeopardy, and then our forests are also facing pretty extreme risks. Most importantly, catastrophic wildfire has been threatening our area in the most recent decades. And when I say fire, I'm not saying that we need to remove fire. I'm saying that we need to restore our historic fire forest ecology. So these forests evolved with regular fire. And in the past century, we have instituted a policy of fire suppression, which has created conditions for catastrophic wildfire, particularly because of the fuel buildup in the understory. This compromises the ecosystem services that are provided by the forest, including wildlife habitat, water retention, soil conservation, as well as carbon sequestration. The catastrophic wildfire also threatens our economic products that come out of our forests, including board feet and biomass, as well as recreational and foraging opportunities that draw people to the region. In the upper corner is a picture of our recent Happy Camp complex, created extreme air quality degradation in the area, and this is a threat to public health. This is a picture from NASA in 2012. You can see the multitude of wildfires occurring in the region. If you look closely, you can see Mount Shasta there in the upper center, the small dot. And like I said, fire is a natural element in this region. We just need to restore balance in order to ensure the viability of our forests and watersheds. So what will we do? Well, initially we need to continue planning and building capacity. Like I said, we can't do this alone. These issues are way bigger than any one individual or organization, and we really need to find opportunities to focus on common goals and combine our resources to arrive at shared values and desired outcomes. So initially we're going to be focusing on education and engagement as well as fundraising and building partnerships such as those already developed through the Upper Sacramento Regional Water Management Group. And really we're looking for stakeholder input into our plan of action, which is indicated in our adaptation plan, and we realize that change occurs slowly, and we're looking for kind of the low-hanging fruit, small steps that we can take to gradually make progress towards restoring our ecosystems and revitalizing our economy. Phase 2 is implementation, which will include more comprehensive and meaningful watershed and forest monitoring for a region that is so rich with natural assets. We have very little understanding of what our hydrological and forest interaction is. And so I think in order to move forward from a place of science, we need to improve our monitoring and understanding of the area. We also plan on moving forward with some sustainable forest demonstration projects, which include overgrown stand thinning and restoring fire. And one site that we are currently cultivating partnerships with is the retired mill site in McLeod. The new owners there are very interested in building these regenerative economic opportunities through ecosystem stewardship. We also want to promote conservation and efficiency for natural resource management, as well as promoting sustainable business opportunities, including renewable energy, using our water as an attractor rather than an export, building our local food systems, recycling, and providing non-toxic, safe, affordable housing. Because this issue is so dynamic and constantly changing, we are going to be embracing the adaptive management model for climate adaptation, which has evaluation and adjustment embedded in the project management cycle. So we are open, we're actively inviting diverse stakeholder feedback into our draft report. We're looking for contributions of time, skills, and money to help move this work forward. And we're also wanting people in the area to become more informed about natural resource risks in the area and encourage our local policymakers and natural resource decision makers to employ more of a precautionary principle in natural resource management before, until we know better what our circumstances are and how we can best move forward as a region. And so here's my contact information, and I invite you to ask questions at this point and contact me in the future should you have any questions or concerns or want to discuss the work that we're up to. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Angelina. We're running behind schedule, but I will take one quick question. Gwyneth, do you have a question in terms of how all this impacts your constituents in the vulnerable communities?
Yeah, well, living in a rural community, hearing a lot of this is pretty scary. I imagine there's water rights already in place for that 17% of water, and I don't know how much of that goes to the rural communities or what kind of assurances we have for water quality and quantity, and funding priorities tend to go to higher populated areas. So how are we going to protect ourselves and prepare ourselves for these changes and ensure that we have water that we can drink and that and enough of it?
Well, those are really good questions, and part of the concerns that have motivated our desire to take a local approach to this global issue. And the rural communities that reside above Shasta Reservoir are pretty well dependent on the natural water storage and delivery and quality that occurs, that nature provides. So we are realizing that if we don't come together as a community now and do what we need to do to ensure the viability of our communities into the long term, that we could be subject to policies that are made in areas that are designed to safeguard the more highly populated regions. And so that's why we're initiating this plan, and that's why we're inviting broad stakeholder participation, so we can be a little more self-determined in our approach to responding to these issues. I think the more cohesive our voice can be in Siskiyou County, the better chances we have of influencing policy at the state level, as well as providing for ourselves in our region.
All right, very good.